And welcome to yet another episode of Strangers in the Alps, a movie podcast, where every week we discuss movies in an in-depth, scholarly ramble. I'm Dan.
I'm Travis.
This is my house. This is Sam.
Burger King foot lettuce.
God damn it, Sam. And I'm gay, yeah?
Ooh, you're Italian gay.
I'm watching a lot of Mateo lately, sorry.
That's Frank.
If you're being frank.
It's me.
And here we are.
And he's gay.
Again.
Oh my God.
Discussing,
One more time.
Discussing movies. Again.
Yep. And this week we watched
Trapped
Chronicle.
in a cabin. What
Oh,
movie?
I thought you were talking about the M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap.
Oh,
What is
I
that?
thought.
No, what's the movie called he did last year?
Knock at the Cabin.
The
That's
Cabin.
what I was thinking of. Knock at the Cabin.
Yes.
Did anybody see it?
No.
I did.
Can you tell me what was...
Nope.
No, that's another movie.
Was that good? Nope.
Nope.
Can you tell me what the trick was, what the surprise was? You
I
know how you always
honestly-
have some crazy thing at the end that
I
just...
honestly don't remember.
Really?
I think I remember reading that the surprise was that there was no twist.
I think so.
Something like that.
That's the twist.
I mean, at one point that was going to be the twist, that there's no twist. It was coming. Everyone knew.
The one though that's still.
But wait, they had to kill somebody.
Yeah, Sam.
So they would all survive.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm glad you told me about one though, Sam. The one I got so tired of the preview that I couldn't watch the movie because I feel like it gave away the first 2 acts. I'm like, I don't want to sit here and watch this progressing. Is old.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Wait, which one was that?
It was the one where the people they crash land on like an island or shipwrecked on an island, and then they start aging.
They went
On
for
vacation.
on vacation, and they were like, the concierge was like, "Hey, there's this private beach that you guys can go to," and then they got stuck there.
And then they start aging really
This
fast.
was M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong?
Yes.
You
Yes,
want
it
to
was.
know what the twist was?
It was actually Modern Times. Oh, that was The Village. Sorry.
Yes.
The Village.
I just think it'd be funny, like, if in one of his other movies, all of a sudden, Ronnie Howard's daughter would just come running through.
Why?
Dallas Howard.
Because that's what she
because
does.
she's still searching for
Yeah,
the
the
best.
high heels.
like still dressed like
Oh, I forgot that was
pilgrim
her.
costumes.
I forgot that
And just
was
come
her.
running through another movie. Oh my God!
I'm in search for medicine.
What
the wrong movie.
are you writing, Dan? Like epic movie or one of those? Hey, we just throw this character and it's a joke and it's.
Yeah,
It's a reference.
I'm trying to help M. Night. I'm trying to help him salvage
How about M? No.
his
M.
film
Day.
career, which oddly, somebody tell me. So Sixth Sense was his.
It
That's
was
his-
Unbreakable.
That's his
People like that
gold
one.
standard, though. That's the gold
I
standard
would
of
say
his
so.
movies.
I was seeing Signs.
Signs was okay.
I didn't like Signs.
Signs didn't have a very good payoff, I didn't think.
I will agree. I will
For
say
all
though,
we went through,
Upon
it
remembrance,
wasn't that
yeah.
great.
I will say, and this is brought up all the time. Like people talk about it. The one scene I just remember being terrified in the theater was the scene when they're watching the home video and the
Oh, the
alien comes
alien,
onto
yeah.
the screen. I was like, "Hey, Mamma Mia!"
Hey, that's not gay.
The theater that I actually saw that movie in.
Oh my God.
Sam, the theater I saw that movie in is now a Best Buy.
Oh, I love
Wait,
that
really?
theater.
Yeah,
You
because
know
it was
what?
the two theaters across from each other.
I saw Men in Black there. I saw U571 there. Can I just list all of them? I
Yeah.
saw
that was a real movie, Frank.
what?
It's a National Lampoon's Men in White.
Really?
Yeah.
Like nobody saw it.
No, I think it was straight to video.
All right, what movie did we see, Travis?
Not
Read us,
M. Night Shyamalan.
read us on the back of that VHS tape.
Right. Okay. So basically, this VHS tape. There was no VHS tape. I just found this camera over here, and I found video on it.
I
It's a-
think you've
it's a
already
bit.
done that joke with another found footage movie.
I
think
didn't.
you've already done that joke.
I don't think I
Probably.
did.
I think so.
I mean, I will
That's the
admit,
twist, he
I
hasn't.
do. I do
What's the
repeat
one where the
jokes.
camera's just running forever in their bedroom and we're just waiting
Paranormal
for
Activity.
something to happen?
paranormal no activity.
That's what it should have been called.
All right. Andrew
Earlier episode.
Andrew is a socially awkward, introverted teen whose main form of escape and expression is a video camera. But things begin to change when Andrew, his cousin Matt, and popular classmate Steve discover a mysterious substance that leaves them with incredible powers. As their abilities become more powerful, the teens' lives spin out of control when their dark sides begin to emerge. Andrew's camera captures the unfolding event.
That was so
You
good.
mean like when
Yeah.
Andrew's dark side begins to emerge?
Spoiler alert, the ability was puberty.
because there was actually a script change.
Well, that's
the-
what we saw is
Yeah.
what we saw.
Yeah, yeah.
So were they reviewing the original script?
No, I'm just saying they wanted to like lean in more. Because remember how like the guy, his cousin.
You're jumping. Let's
Okay,
just
all right.
pre-thoughts. Sam,
I heard of it, didn't never want to watch it.
is this your first time?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Right on.
Heard of it? Really wanted to watch it? Missed it in theaters? Saw it at home.
Wow, it took what 2-3 seasons for you to do this?
Frank, can you top that? Can you top
Same.
that speed?
Same.
Which one? Which one? I know.
Same as you, Travis. Okay. Never heard of it
You're speaking too much.
at all. Never heard of it. So typically, when I've never heard of a movie, I will watch the movie, and then I will reach out to my son and say, "Hey, have you ever heard of this movie?" And the reason why I reach out to him after I see the movie is because one time when we were going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Jessica Biel version, I reached out to him before the movie and said, "Hey, we're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel. Have you seen it?" His response was, "Yeah, it's not good." So I waited till after the movie, and then I reached out and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Chronicles?" He said, "No, I've never heard of it."
Because there's not an S.
And then I went, wow. So after the movie was over, I looked it up to see, did this movie just not make any money? Because I'd never heard of it. It actually did really well.
I think-
So I need to know why I've never heard of it. Why more important, my son in 2012, who would have been like 21, 22, why he never had heard of it.
I think the reason. Okay, so
Anyway, I had no expectations, but I will get to that when we start talking about the movie.
first of all, I thought you were gonna say usually when we do a movie I've never heard of, I was gonna be like, well, it's gonna be the movie you're covering on the podcast because you've never heard of it. But second, it was weird. I kind of do the same thing where I don't have a son, but I will then ask
That you know of.
I will. I told you not to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I will
By the
usually
way,
ask
he says
sometimes
hi.
like coworkers or people just around me at the time will be like, "Hey, do you remember this movie?" Every response I got where most of the people had seen it was, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that movie." I think the reason a lot of I just think this movie, is a forgotten movie because well, do you know anything about anyone in the movie?
Michael B. Jordan has
Well-
had a very nice career.
And
Nobody
You
else.
don't. Okay,
I don't know anybody else in the movie.
Okay, so here's the reason why. Is a little backstory. So this movie actually does have a record now as the youngest director to ever direct a film that I think hits #1 at the box
Talking
office.
about John Landis' son.
Josh
No,
Trank.
Josh Trank.
He was
the director.
He was 23 years old.
Who's John
wow.
Landis' son? I thought
Max
he-
Landis, the writer.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's the writer. Okay.
So Josh Trank was 23 years old when he
Right,
directed this
right on,
movie.
man.
So he beat the record, Steven Spielberg's record for Jaws. I think
How
he
old
was
was
like
he?
27
Oh wow.
or something like that. But we all know. The piece of shit Max Landis. You know all about him.
No.
Oh, I
Okay.
think you told me briefly.
I know he's John Landis' son.
Yeah. So
R.I.P.
essentially,
So apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
yeah. So basically, he's son.
Did he also cut off somebody's head?
He
Oh, I
Not like
remember.
physically, but emotionally and potentially sexually. Yeah.
Ooh.
so
Wow.
that's and
John or
appa-
Max?
Max.
So apparently, it got so
No,
bad.
John did it literally.
Well, that in an interview.
That's not funny, but
it is not funny, but
in an interview afterwards, because when all this stuff started coming out, like they started talking directors that worked with Max Landis, and Josh Trank said, "Yeah, when we started filming Chronicle, Max Landis was banned from set.
Oh wow.
Like
Yeah.
he couldn't come." And apparently,
I hope not.
there was already
Not like that one
apparently
character
they it just came out of his mouth.
I will get to that.
But,
I have that in my notes.
So apparently, because what happened, I guess there was a little bit of drama beforehand too, because Josh Trank came up with the idea for this movie when he was in high school, which shows a little bit. He came up with this idea, and I forget who. There was an up-and-coming writer he was working with to get this movie made. I think too much time went by, so they kind of like parted ways a bit. And then Josh Trank, Max Landis pitched the movie to him. He's like, yeah, let's do this. Let's write it together. Max Landis then went behind Josh
Josh
Trank.
wasn't a short story, by the way.
No. Max Landis then went behind Josh Trank's back and pitched the movie to some people.
Wow.
And it got picked up, I think, Paramount? Not Paramount. Fox did it.
I love
so
that opening.
So they greenlit it in 2011, beginning of 2011, and the movie came out in 2012. And it did pretty well, I think.
February of 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry. So he went behind Trank's back?
Yeah, and pitched the movie. Started pitching the movie around.
But then how did Trank get back on?
He sold
Because
it.
I think he pitched it as in like, oh, him, like he didn't like some. He's like, oh, him and Josh Trank and I are working on this movie.
But it's Trank's idea.
Yeah, but it was Trank's idea, and I don't think he was ready to start pitching it.
Can I
I see,
just
I
say
see.
something?
Yes.
If you want to pitch here and there behind our back, get it sold, and we're all still connected to the project, I won't be mad at you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no! Please don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't sell our movie.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if there's more.
That's not a great story.
I don't know all the details.
I
just
mean,
saying.
I think it's good context for Max's.
Yeah.
Shitty ways.
Yeah, and I think it's because
for his contributions to the movie.
well, and I think so too. Like I said, it wasn't Max Landis' idea. It would be like, hey, like if you met someone and you told them this idea for a movie and you said, oh, that's cool, let's do it, and then he turns around and, I mean, for all we know,
But he didn't steal it.
But
He
for,
didn't.
but for all we know, he could have tried to steal it. We don't know.
Okay, so let's go around and talk about our initial thoughts.
We just
Yeah.
did.
We just did.
No, we did our pre-thoughts
So
before the movie.
there's too many
yes,
thoughts.
Sam.
Initial thoughts are, let's just start talking about the movie.
Well, okay, you can just say,
Oh.
let's start talking about the movie.
yeah,
let's talk
pre-thoughts
about our
are
thoughts.
what you thought about the movie before you saw it.
Yeah.
Now
Sam.
we're talking about the movie.
Sam.
I can start. I got total
Not
initial thoughts.
gay.
Mine is a rewatch, so let's.
I'm happy to start.
Let's start. Well, you two.
Let's
Sam.
start with Dan.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
do
you.
Dan Sam.
Well, let's just start with any movie that starts the 20th Century Fox fanfare. I'm on board for it. That is literally the greatest fanfare of all Hollywood.
It is pretty
studios.
iconic. I
It's
do like hearing
freaking
it.
crazy. And it puts me in a good mood when I see it.
R.I.P.
That's
Yeah.
like me. I
It's
get
so,
that.
it's so
R.I.P.
happy and upbeat. Dun, 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 dun. It's so
You know
regal.
you're in. You know you're in
We're
for a
making
good time.
movies, baby.
It always reminds me of like oh, this is a classic studio.
Yeah, I always.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
You know?
always feel
I like the MGM lion roaring too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, me too.
I always feel
Now
like.
it's MGM Amazon.
I miss the old WB logo.
Oh, I love that
and
too.
the Universal. I
Yeah,
miss
I
that
don't
one
like
too.
the new one with the studio
Universal
lot.
with the world.
Yeah.
It's the Universal.
Yeah.
I was never a big fan of the Paramount one because there was no sound. It was just Paramount and the stars would go around the mountain.
don't know.
And then it would turn to an Indiana Jones movie.
It doesn't have an
every
iconic
time,
jingle.
Every
yeah.
time that I see the
You're
like,
an iconic
for whatever
jingle.
reason,
Thank you.
anytime I see the 20th Century Fox logo, even if I'm like watching the movie at home or like on an iPad or like my phone or just even though it's just, I always feel like, okay, cool, I'm watching something on film. I don't know why. I always feel like I'm in like a theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It just has that classic.
It's a good tone setter.
So let
Yeah.
me then launch in past that.
Yeah.
But
go
I
for
will
it.
say that did put me in a very good spirit.
Yeah.
Before you
And
go
then
on.
it was downhill.
One
from
more
there.
logo,
No,
Frank.
no, it got
One
me on the-
more that always just gets is that New Line Cinema logo.
Oh yeah.
I
love that
logo.
My favorite's the red Lionsgate one.
Oh,
the-
I remember the Twisted Pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Oh,
are
the
nice.
You know the
Lionsgate,
one
yeah.
I never did like though? Is it Lucasfilm where it jumps out and the little robot kind of fixes something and then we go on? Is that for the?
I think that was
for
stuff.
the sound, for that THX sound.
THX.
I always
But
found that really annoying.
okay.
Pixar's got a good one too.
I love
Okay.
Pixar and DreamWorks. The fishing.
Oh,
yeah.
DreamWorks is great. Okay, so found footage. Anybody who follows this podcast, as well as the three of you,
Yeah.
know how I feel about found footage.
You love
you
it. You
love
hate
it
it.
so much.
Now, that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to get too into like the movie, but I just want to say I have found
Footage.
that I'll talk more about the found footage as we talk about the movie, but I have discovered over the course of this podcast that when I watch one of these movies, I get an initial reaction. Like within the first 5 minutes of these movies, I have a feeling about whether I'm going to like this movie or not as much like the movie. And so far, I've been like 90% correct. That first 5-minute feeling I have generally is what I feel about during the entire movie.
Have you ever had it change?
Oh, yeah, of course. But I'm just saying generally. So if I see the first 5 minutes, I go, okay.
So how did you feel this time?
This is interesting.
Getting there.
I know. I'm trying to be like a
It ties
narrator.
back to the found footage thing. And I think for this movie, and Frank, you might have actually even said something last week about it. This is a very different found footage movie.
Yo.
It really, for found footage movies, this one really didn't feel much like a found footage movie. It had so many weird little rule breaking going on, and just I'm also covering this with a camera, and I'm doing. And sometimes I would be going, I'm not sure where the camera is, and then I said, you know what? I don't care because this isn't that annoying found footage kind of movie. This is way too slick. Like most found footage movies which is another reason why I don't like them that much, is sort of an excuse for having no budget.
Yeah.
This was too slick to be one of those found footage movies. It was almost like that was sort of the gimmick, but they kind of not broke the rules, but kind of
They found a way to smooth them out.
oh, they way smoothed them out. I agree.
I feel like the reason why, well, at least my opinion, is because this one doesn't feel like it's trying to be a Blair Witch knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And I feel like, and like I said, I liked how they kind of played around with it, where like in the beginning he had like the cheap little high-8 camera, then he gets the better camera. But I even thought it was kind of cool how the way they got around the overall shakiness and people just walking around was when Andrew very early on was like, oh yeah, I can like control the camera with my mind. So he has the camera following them. And that's why sometimes I think it looks more, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching found footage because it'll have the camera still like it's almost sometimes shot more like a traditional kind of movie, a little bit like a quick cut one. It's not, you don't get a lot of, like in the beginning a bit, and sometimes at the party you get people walking around, but a lot of it feels more natural because the camera's floating and it's going with their movements around them.
But you know what? It's still a little shaky.
But not as bad.
So, like you were saying, it solves that, but it still does give you that feeling of a found footage movie, just with a lot less jerky movie.
It's found footage with a budget.
Yes,
yeah, because it's
exactly.
Where most found footage movies have no budget.
Because this one, it seems like the camera, it's going around the movement instead of going with the movement.
Yeah, that was all really cool. Anyway, that was my initial sort of launch into the movie.
So,
Yes,
so what
Sam.
you're saying is, Dan, in the opening where it was the abusive dad knocking on the door, and you're like, oh, this looks like a good ride for me. I love it, this movie. What happens to him?
You're like, strange subject matter for found footage movie, but let's see where it goes.
I'm not a fan of abusive parents.
I don't think anyone
movies.
is.
But I mean, this movie, it made it work. It made it work for the journey of the main character. I guess he's the main character. I mean,
It's his story.
It's his story for sure.
His tragic demise.
But it also, because of his family environment, you know, that draws into why these powers are turning him the way they are versus what the powers are doing to the other two guys, which we can get into that.
So this is a good time to bring it up. So, and I agree, it works with him. And I think the reason why they changed it was originally in the ending, I think all three of them were supposed to go crazy with their powers and just turn evil and start destroying everything.
I'm glad they did not do that.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't work at all. Yeah.
Because part of the thing, when I was watching the movie early on, like within the first act, I started thinking, this isn't going to work out well for anybody.
No.
After they got these powers from the
rock.
The hole.
Oh,
What?
Okay.
The hole.
All right.
They went down
The
into
glowing hole?
The glowing hole.
The glowy
Which
hole.
that makes
Which
noises.
any of us would jump down into immediately.
For superpowers.
I'm going to go down into that glowing hole
Dan.
that's making weird noises.
I've been there.
Dan, for superpowers, be here
What was his
Saturday
name?
at 2 a.m.
It was Chronicle.
Stop.
What was that?
You know what?
Ghost?
I will say I did notice this time that each act kind of has its own, not main character, but like a focus character. So like each act, even though Andrew is the main character, Act 1 is more driven by Matt.
The cousin.
Yeah, the cousin. And then Act 2 is more driven by Michael B. Jordan's character,
right.
Steven. And then the third act is obviously very much Andrew's act.
Yeah.
But, like, it gives you a little bit of a flavor of each power, you know? Like, the initial one is, like, that discovery and joy of having the powers. And 2 is, like, messing around with those powers. And then 3 is...
The consequences, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what I liked was how after they touched the hole,
Wow, this is not going in a good place. Children, it's time for bed.
how they unveiled that they all have powers is very like authentic to found footage, where it's not so like showy. It's like, next footage, it's us just playing around with our powers. It's not so like
I like the time.
glamorous, you know?
And
Right,
that's the thing
I
too.
agree.
And
It's not always a moment.
exactly.
And I like the time jumps that they would do between those, because it was like, hey, this is us, maybe getting friends. There's other. It's not. It doesn't cut to like them and elaborate them. This is attempt number 27 on how. Like, and I said, like, I liked the progressive time jumps where it's like, yeah, you can see their powers evolving. We're not seeing every little step. It's keeping the story moving. We're not focusing too much on the little details.
Yeah, you're right.
And everyone had their own special, like, thing that they were good at, too, which I thought was really cool.
What was Michael B. Jordan's thing?
I think his was more like precise movement.
Right.
Like bigger things.
Wait,
Because he
wasn't
was
he the
able to
one
move.
that's-
He's the one that moved the car.
He's also the one that could fly first, wasn't
Yes.
Yes.
he? Yeah, the moving the car thing, that was actually...
Yeah.
That was.
I actually made a note, though, I'm sorry, that it was interesting to me that as these teenagers found these powers, they did what teenagers would do with these powers, just and goof around with them.
The
You
toy
know,
store.
They're not really using them for good or using them for, to
I love that
improve
toy
anything.
Yeah, because I like when they're in
the toy scene's great.
Yeah, I like when they're in the toy store and then they like start moving and they're running and there's like, why are we running? We don't have to run. They didn't see us do anything. But I will think. I think the one thing, and I don't know if I even remember it from the first time, but I think the one thing and a lot of it that took me out a little bit with like, but then again it was lower budget with some of the powers, was even in the beginning with the baseball where I was like, these effects didn't age well, or I don't know if they were ever.
No.
I don't know if they were ever.
I agree. I mean, I forgave the
They
flying
stick
because
out
the
a lot.
flying looks really.
Well, no, the flying does, but I'm saying even
But
the
you know what's weird
flying
about the
does not
flying?
look good.
I'm saying I can
It looks
forgive.
so
no.
green screen.
absolutely.
yeah.
Even
But
when,
I forgive it.
No,
It's fine.
Even when they're sitting at the rooftop when they're talking. But I'm saying I think I can be more forgiving. I'm just saying that didn't bother me. I don't know. It was just the little objects that bothered me every single time when they would move.
I made a conscious decision when I started seeing those. I didn't think about the balls, but like the flying and stuff.
Of course you didn't.
You should have.
Well, that would be the difference in you and me, wouldn't it?
Gay.
Is that okay? Yeah. Is that as soon as that stuff started happening, I kind of went, okay, I'm forgiving this because budget.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And also it's 12 years
2012,
ago,
yeah.
and it's still really cool what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit there and nitpick
Same.
on, oh well, that doesn't look really great.
That was the same thing
I
for
didn't
me.
nitpick. I just said it's the one thing that stuck out, but I said it's not a big deal.
I'm very picky about that, so same thing with me. Considering it's been like years, it's like, right, I can't focus too much on that because then it's going to ruin my experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, no, never mind. Moving on. I was going to say something.
Picky Travis.
I was going to say something. I'll hold it for later.
Okay.
Oh my God.
First of
What is
all,
in your coffee
Y'all
tonight?
are
Dead the balls.
nasty. Y'all
a
are
lot
nasty.
of coffee. Sorry.
So, Frank, the
Yes.
one scene where he gets the new camera, the
that's what I was
area,
gonna say. Go
when he
ahead.
gets the area Alexa, when the guys are like, oh, they get the camera and they push it across, and he kicks it across the room.
Oh yeah,
Do you know how they did that?
they put it on a skateboard.
Yeah, they put the camera on the skateboard and pushed it.
I thought it was really cool at the party, the first party where the girl shows up with the camera and now they're doing cameras back and forth. I actually really liked that.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's cool. We have an opportunity for other angles and more footage.
Did they
so
do
it's
that?
not just one guy always
With Cloverfield?
See, they were going
hinted at
to.
I don't remember that.
There was one
I've never
scene.
seen it, but I figured that that's what it would have done.
It's
so
good.
In
I like
Cloverfield, there's a scene in the beginning when everything's kind of starting to go down, and
At
they're like
the Brooklyn
evacuating the
Bridge?
cities, and they're at the Brooklyn Bridge, and you see one character with another camera, like. Look, and it's a J.J. Abrams produced film, so there's rumors.
Matt Reeves directed.
Yeah.
really?
It was
yeah.
his feature debut.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You should.
So so of course there's rumor circus, right? Oh, they're gonna do like 50 spinoffs, or oh, they're gonna have this movie focused on this one. So the whole rumor was that the second movie or another movie in this was gonna be about how the camera's locked. Well, the next movie now is gonna be about that other group. That they just and then
I think what they did is they took I don't know if it was a producer or one of the writers had mentioned that was like an opportunity that they wanted to kind of hint at, like, hey, there's
it's cool
that there. I believe what they said was that there was multiple movies being made that night by like
That was
people
what
all
they
over the
said.
city. But like the one we're watching is their
This one.
movie. Yeah.
So
it's like a way of
That's a cool concept.
It is, and I kind of wish they had done more with it instead of like the like half-assed
2.
universe that they've been trying to do.
Yeah, where they
Right.
just it's interesting how they're repurposing scripts instead of
Yeah.
just because I mean I agree with, and that's
Yeah.
and that's the thing where I agree that could have been, like I said, you have this big event, so you just for a sequel you can just have story set within, which was always kind of like my biggest kind of gripe with like the Purge movies a little bit. It's like all this is going on. It's like
Yeah.
let's see other things going on. Like a Purge movie should be like almost like an anthology, like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes.
Bring it back though.
Yeah. But I was just doing this because Dan was up. Now Dan's back. So let's go back to Chronicle.
Back to
The Chronic found footage of, I don't know.
Narnia.
Yeah.
Wait, we stopped talking about Chronicle?
Yeah, we were
Oh,
talking
did
about
we?
we were talking about Cloverfield for a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, we went off subject. We never do that.
But Dan, what did you feel? What do you think that this? Do you feel like this movie is a commentary? No, I don't know what I'm saying.
Dan, did you know that it was going to be a school shooting manifesto?
What? I mean,
That's essentially
it was
what.
going there.
That's essentially where it
I was
went.
honestly thinking about it because, like, of how much he's been abused.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could easily go that route.
I did too, and I'm so glad it did not.
Yeah.
There were many things that crossed my mind as we were heading into Act 3. In fact, I know we're walking through this a little slower, but one thing I wrote was...
Wait, can I ask something really quick?
Yeah,
So
please.
why did they, thank God, but why did they divert what changed it?
Honestly, I think it probably has more to do with scope. Like, I think something like that was a little too small for somebody with superpowers. Like, and I'm sure they wanted to avoid the comparison and, you know,
Well, I mean, there was a
the linking their movie to that specifically when it's not
About that.
It's not about that. It's more about that type of person.
Right.
After the talent show, when they went to the party, I'm thinking, oh, we're all together. A bunch of high school kids in a big house or building.
Uh-huh.
And I even wrote, oh, Act 3 is going to get really messy. And I was not looking forward to that because I didn't want the movie to
turn into that.
turn into that. So when he took the girl upstairs, I kept waiting for the girl to start screaming and, you know, we're going to go into like missing 2 arms. You know, I mean, I was like going through all these scenarios where all of a sudden it's just going to go just ape shit crazy. That's not what happened.
No, what happened?
She walked out of the room very upset, and he was sitting on the bed. And would please somebody just verify, is it what I thought it was?
It was throw up.
Yes, it was.
He threw up on himself because he hints at because he hints
He got
that's what-
nervous.
That's not what it looked like
no,
to
no,
me.
no, because it hints off earlier in the movie when he Andrew straight up says, oh yeah, I don't drink, like it makes me get sick or something like that. They hint at it. So apparently
And he's never been with a girl.
Yeah, he threw up.
with a
because-
goyle.
Yeah.
Goyle.
Okay. Great. Never mind.
You're like, thank
and
God.
that's, no, and that's what,
That's kind of
no,
like
and
anticlimactic.
that's
Pardon
that's
my
what,
expression.
that's what she thought too. And that's why when they're making fun of him at the school, they keep going like throwing up.
Right.
It's all there.
Yeah, it was all there.
It's all in the text,
Yeah,
Dan.
Travis like, did you watch it?
No.
I will say though, people in the school were pretty calm when he was like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and he like
That
just
was a
rips his
good-
teeth
I love
out.
that scene though.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, "Okay," they go on with their day.
I love how he was doing the YouTube haul
Yes.
of the teeth.
Yes, that after scene was like disturbing, but also like
That dirty toilet.
I was intrigued by it. I was like, ew.
Right,
that's
like that's
gross.
the clean teeth he got. And then, yeah, those two.
And he was
kinda-
Oh, yeah, I
explaining
forgot about that. That
Yeah.
was,
He was
that was
explaining
pretty,
like the
that's
How he
methods
lassoed
and
it, yeah.
So that's where I
I wish
No,
he'd done more with that.
I broke
Yeah.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I thought he was gonna get more into that too, because then he starts doing the whole like, "Oh, I'm an alpha predator."
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Apex.
We're Apex, we're going there.
Yeah, what is an apex predator?
It is
The
the
ultimate-
Pardon
Right.
me for
The
asking
top
a
of the
dumbass
chain,
of the
basically
chain
the top
and
of the
its
food chain.
environment.
Like I said, it's like we're not.
Like the Lion King?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember, lions aren't guilty when they kill gazelle. That's
So-
what he says.
Yeah, he does, and that's actually something that pops up in Akira, which I don't know if you guys saw, but I think it was the
Oh, yeah, Frank,
similarity
we
is
saw it.
very obvious.
Remember?
Yeah,
We saw the movie.
but you know what I mean? Like the themes were very similar. It's just
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like if you've seen it, and then you watch this movie, you're like I feel like you could see the comparisons.
Yeah.
But that's something that movie brought up too, is you know, like the whole top of the food chain, I'm better than you. But I think another interesting theme of both movies is how not everyone deserves that much power.
Yeah.
A lot of people maybe don't. And I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing to come to a realization too, that a lot of times in these stories, the people that kind of need that power are the first ones to abuse it, and it kind of sucks because
Yeah.
like Andrew definitely needed more agency and strength and like power in his situation, and he didn't. When he did get it, like it was too much.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, I don't think Andrew's like, I don't think they write him as specifically as a villain, just as a really broken person, which I really appreciated.
Right, because they could have gone cheesy really quick.
Oh yeah,
But I also like how they tried to, or Matt tried to implement the rules.
yeah,
So having that setup was nice too.
yeah.
And obviously,
I agree. And I like the fact that it wasn't a story about the three of them going into various levels of madness because of whatever happened down in that hole. You know, whatever
Yeah.
that was that gave them the power, which we can also discuss. I liked that it kind of like, I don't want to say, not accentuated their personalities, but in a way, I mean, Andrew was very troubled, and those powers turned him. I know you don't want to say evil, but he did kind of become pretty damn evil.
it's good
And
though.
Matt was very like hey, we have these
Right.
powers, we can't F with them.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I like that there was a reason for him, quote unquote, turning evil. Like it made you have sympathy for the guy.
For
Because
sure.
if he was just, oh, I have power, I'm gonna abuse it, then who cares?
Yeah.
No,
and-
I said that earlier too. I mean that I think that's why the abusive father and the dying mother is there. I mean, and I don't like that kind of stuff typically, but I think in this case,
It's a payoff.
it really does support his journey,
And-
like why it happened.
And
And it feels like a journey because you see
Yes.
him struggle with
Yes.
Everybody.
staying like within those rules and trying to, you know,
Hone him in, yeah.
yeah, and then it doesn't work out.
and I like how, like, you know, you knew from the beginning, it's like, okay, well, like, clearly when he gets these powers out of it, he's gonna have like a final like standoff with his dad. Something's gonna happen. But I like the way they did it, where it was like, okay, well, now Andrew's in the hospital, the dad shows up, and you kind of see him crying for a minute, and you almost think his like crying
for his son,
for his
and
son,
how he treated his son,
and how he treated his son, and he was like, hey, like, I know I'm bad, but then he kind of like, I don't know if it's him being mad at himself for being like, oh, why am I doing this to my son? Why am I having this? So he just turns it and is like, oh, I'm actually like,
Oh, I didn't take it at that.
I never thought he would apologize. I just always thought
You
that he
expect
was
it.
I didn't
gonna
think
I
he was
be
gonna
think
like,
we
apologize.
thought
No,
that's
no,
what
no.
was going on until he reveals that the mom's dead, which I think we already knew because he
Yeah.
turns her over.
yeah.
and she says thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Oh.
was like, no, he's never gonna like feel bad for the kid.
No, I don't think he was gonna feel, but yeah. I think he was like thinking like, oh, am I like upset for the son? And he was like, so then I think maybe he was like,
I know what you mean, though. I also, for a brief second, thought, oh, maybe the dad's taking a turn here.
Oh.
I mean, I never
For
thought
the
he was going to
worst.
take a
And
turn.
then I'm like, no. For a second, I
Yeah.
thought, oh, maybe he feels bad. But then I thought, no.
And that's why I thought
And
he
that
would,
wouldn't work
and,
anyway.
And that's why I think the dad suddenly got so mad too, and someone was like, "Oh, it's your fault, all this," because I think it was now because of the situation the son was in. He was mad at his son now for making him feel bad, about him. He was like, "Oh, I was crying over you. So I shouldn't be doing that. Like, 'cause I don't like you."
What?
Well, you
I get what
way
he's saying. He's saying that
overcomplicating this.
he's.
I
like-
think he was literally. We thought one thing he was saying, but that's not what he was saying.
I think he was being
he was
manipulative.
actually blaming
That
his
too.
son
That's his
But
stepdad,
for
right?
his
No,
that's
for
his
his,
dad.
for
It's
his
just-
wife being dead. He was actually blaming him for that.
Yeah, remember, all my money goes into your education.
Yeah, I
What
love that.
education?
It's a public school.
I love that. Love that line.
That was a good scene though. When he punched him, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, do it
Yeah.
again.
I was actually surprised that wasn't going to be a full-on just killing his dad.
Yeah, but what did we think?
Resistance.
What did we
Journey.
think?
Resistance.
Progress.
What did we think
no,
of
I
character?
I appreciate that,
No,
but
yeah.
how many movies have we seen where that would have been the thing?
Yeah,
that
like that's the thing, and then it just.
and then we go into madness deeper from there.
I did like that final like payoff in that specific scene at the hospital though, where he like wakes up and grabs the dad's hand, and then you
When the
just see
camera comes forward, I love that part.
yeah. A lot of the techniques that they used, I thought were really really smart ways of making the film feel more cinematic while also keeping that. It's just really good filmmaking.
The only person that dies in the movie is him, right?
Steve.
Steve.
Oh, Steve, of course.
He just
of
dies.
course.
He dies in a flash. Am I right?
Oh, that scene was pretty cool too, though.
Wait,
like
how
the
did he
build
die?
up,
He
He
hit
got
by
struck by
lightning?
lightning.
Right, okay.
Were you gonna ask us something?
suspicious
I'll
lightning.
go back. Yeah, it's like everyone at school's like, yeah, he got struck by lightning, and they found him in a field. I was like, I think I would have had a little more questions. And now it's like, yeah, he got struck by
Exactly.
lightning.
Was he clothed? Was he? Wait.
Like I thought, I thought everyone was just gonna be like, I thought because they were just gonna be like, oh yeah, he died. We don't know how. They found him dead. They're like, yeah, he got struck by lightning and found him in a field.
Yes. Question.
Thank God. Get on your knees and thank God
Okay.
there weren't those stupid cop characters in this movie that we all hate.
Oh God. Yeah.
They're boring. They
Something's
have no
up with these kids.
personality. And they just keep showing up with their stupid scenes and no personality.
I really like
Thank
that they
God
did-
we didn't have that.
Exactly.
We only had
they
it once.
focused on the main characters. They didn't
Stray.
stray too far from that. And I think the movie's stronger for it because
Yeah,
the three characters are pretty strong
Absolutely.
archetype.
I agree.
They've got strong arcs.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's
was
all
a
you need.
Strong
It was
arms.
a very well cast movie. I thought everybody in the film, for the most part, I'm trying to think now if there's anybody where I went, that was cast accurately. I
Oh.
love that girl. I thought she was terrific.
Frank, how many times have you seen this movie?
I don't even count. I've seen it a couple times,
Okay,
not too
Have you?
much, but
I'm sure the version we have is the theatrical. Have you seen the extended version?
no.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Because there's one thing I don't know if I
think I
missed
saw
it.
the extended version. It's the same length.
I
It's
don't
like
know.
Wait, how long? Because this is
I don't know how much
124.
longer it's
No,
supposed
it was like 137. So it was
Yeah.
a little.
So
longer.
okay. So I don't.
Wait, maybe I did see the extended version. I
I-
think mine was 137.
Yeah,
I-
it's on.
I watched it on
Oh,
Vudu.
you know what? I think it was on the extended that we saw.
Yeah,
Bitch,
I
I
think I
watched the
saw the
original.
extended.
No, mine was an
Huh?
hour 24.
Yeah, mine was an hour 24.
Mine was an hour 37.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's,
I
what's,
saw it longer. I have no idea.
Now we gotta go scene by
you-
scene.
you have
Alright.
to ask me. I
so
don't know.
now, now you two
Scene
might
one.
know. No, because
Scene one.
No, because what I'm trying to figure out
There's
is
a big musical
yeah.
number at the beginning where they're all dancing and it's raining.
Oh, I missed that. Thank
I
God.
don't know. It starts out with the dad, and it's like, let me tell you what happened to my son. It's him like burnt up in the beginning. I'm just kidding. The part, like I said, I don't know. I'm just overthinking it. Is
You
so
are.
the part where Matt is talking with the girl, and then he knocks on the door, and she's like, "Oh, why are you trying to be my friend?" It's like, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not like that. I'm like, what happened? Like, who was he? Like,
I know that's a little bit unexplained, but how cool was that shot with her holding a camera
yeah.
in her, and so we see her mirror image of her talking to him. That was
I
a
mean,
very
I
cool
mean,
shot
I-
for that kind of a scene where you know
Yeah.
you're
Oh, with
doing
Matt?
where you're doing like found footage, or it's camera on camera. That was really cool.
I mean,
there's a lot of really good
yeah,
framing in this
I
movie.
guess you can
I
kind
agree.
of figure it out a little bit because when you see his character, how he's kind of how he acts, him like wanting to go to the parties, him having like the muscle car. I'm like, okay, I get it. He was probably like at one point like
You're
Douchebag.
right, but you never see him do any douchebag
Yeah.
thing.
The only thing you see him do is like constantly like bring up philosophy, like he's such a like
Did
learned
you read
man.
this book?
Yeah.
So that's why. So
But
that's
it
why I
wasn't
was
like-
confused.
He's 17.
It's not
whatever.
egregious. Yeah,
No.
it's more of
And
like
Frank,
a like I'm smarter
yeah,
than I am kind
That's
of
why I
thing.
was
I'm
confused.
stuck in this
'cause
town.
He's in there in the car talking about
Seattle,
philosophy.
this small
Then it's like,
town.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not. I'm like, because he talking about philosophy. I'm like, like was this guy supposed to be like a jock type?
I think he was ultimately like a harmless doofus kind of
That's
character.
kind of how I took him.
Yeah.
Whereas
mean-
Michael B. Jordan was like a jock. He was a
Yeah.
football stud.
Dan, this was my second time watching the
Football
movie.
stud.
Like I said, I didn't see the
Stud.
movie. I think I saw it on home video or something when it first came out.
Home video.
Home
Boy, there's
video.
There's a term we don't use
Did you
anymore.
get it from the Blockbuster?
Maybe. I probably did.
Actually, I think it was still.
Was it the
I
manager's
think it was
pick of the
last
week?
year, right? 2012.
yeah. Oh, no, I think it was the very no, or it might have been. I actually
When
might
did
have watched
Blockbuster go out of business?
2013. I think the last
13,
movie.
really?
I think the last movie rented was. I'm not even joking. Ironically, This Is the End.
They filed for
good.
bankruptcy in 2013. So
Oh.
yeah, I think that's
You know,
around
there's
the
still
time.
one Blockbuster.
Yeah, in Bend, Oregon.
Bend what?
Bend, Oregon, like
Oh.
the city of Bend. In
I knew
Oregon.
it was up north somewhere.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, so I completely.
Chronicle.
Okay, so seeing this
What?
movie the second time, I realized how much fun. I completely forgot Michael B. Jordan was in this movie.
He was so baby face.
I know. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
He
that's
really
Michael.
looks pretty much the same, though, don't you think?
One thing that I really, really liked, and I don't see a lot of movies with like superpowers or magic still doing this, is the creativity that they used with their powers. Like, obviously, visually, it's all telekinesis, so it's not really as as big as you can go with something else like superpowers or with magic and stuff. But the fact that they were able to kind of fork telekinesis into all these other things like force fields and flying and all that stuff, I thought was really cool creatively, and I wish more superhero movies would do that.
Yeah,
because
see-
like a lot of it is still just like generic martial arts or like energy blast. It's
Yeah,
like, come
see,
on, you've got superpowers, get creative with it.
Mhm.
And that was why I think in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years,
Uh-huh.
maybe 8 years, I think the closest we got to that was some of the fighting in Shang-Chi. Like,
Yeah.
especially like the bus, when it's like, okay, like he's using his environment around him.
Yeah, that
and
bus
because
scene
for the
was pretty cool.
and that's why I'm glad this ending didn't have it, was because the biggest thing that every superhero movie from like 2010 to like Endgame, or maybe right before Endgame, was the ending was always laser beam shooting into the sky.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to stop it, which is why I'm glad we didn't get that. And like I said, I feel like for the limited budget they had, I kind of have like a love-hate with the third act fight, where I was like, oh, this is cool how Frankie said how they're using telekinesis and they're throwing things around and they're in the car and they're flying around. But the only thing I kept thinking of when they were in the car and they were being driven around, I was like, I feel like I'm on like the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios.
Oh, yeah.
So I
when
was like I said, it was a little gimmicky, but like I think it worked within the realm of the story. And
Yeah.
it was like, well, I'd rather have this
Then an
than
energy
something
beam.
a little more generic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was lucky that it came right before all those big energy beam movies, because it came out the same year that Avengers did. but
Yeah.
Earlier in the year. so it
Energy
didn't-
beam movie, and then I think you even had
Really? The first Avengers was 2012?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had Amazing
Wow.
Spider-Man. I think a couple years where it was like gas energy into the sky, and
I have lots of that.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. In the
I heard
sky,
you
on the
before we
ground,
started.
in your room, in
But
the
what
car.
Dan, what did you think of the ending fight scene?
Yeah, the third act. What did you think?
I actually liked him. My favorite shot I had written down was when Andrew was floating outside that
The
building.
Space Needle.
Was
Is it
it?
Space Needle?
No, it
Or
was
the
the building
hospital.
before.
No. Oh.
Before the
The
Space
office
Needle.
building. Oh, they were
Yeah.
just at the
Oh, okay.
office building, and the people
I don't
were
know why.
recording
I
them.
just love that shot so much because it's just like kind of scary. Just this dude in hospital gown, just like floating,
Yeah. Floating.
I don't
floating
remember.
around.
Is this
Yeah.
after he blew all the cop cars this way and blew all the
Oh,
cop
No, it
cars
was
that
in
way?
between.
It was after he explodes the hospital
Yeah.
room.
And
with
then
his dad.
and then Matt catches up with him at the office building, and then they went to the Space Needle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I actually really like that scene too, because it's like you said, it's not big and it's not too much. It's just enough, and it's not like it's contained between these two people fighting.
And
I
it's
agree.
not.
I liked it. I thought it was because it was more intimate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Plus, I
And
didn't feel like I was. Hang on one second. I didn't feel like I was watching. I remember the first Iron Man movie, and the big fight between Jeff Bridges and Robert Downey Jr. And I turned to Joni, that 7-8 minute fight, whatever it was. I said, "We're just watching a cartoon now. There's nothing real
Yeah.
in front of us anymore." At least here, it was still the two guys.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't in like super cool costumes where it's really nobody
Right,
that
and
we're
it's like
watching.
Matt wasn't fighting back because he didn't want to hurt him. So for the
I
fact,
love that.
and for the fact that like that led up to the very last scene of him being like, "Fuck, this is the only thing I can do."
You gotta kill
It
him.
hits hard because he loves his
That
cousin.
spear did hurt.
And that's why the ending is so great.
Mm-hmm.
The very ending
in Tibet.
when they're in Tibet. That's
Yeah.
such a great.
Yeah.
And some people might say it's corny. I think it's the appropriate ending. It makes it all okay. It makes it
Yeah.
all work.
Yeah. It's a little melancholic and sad, but it's still sweet and like
It's very sweet.
peaceful.
I thought though, because I was like, okay, I knew. I was like, okay, this movie's about to end. I was like, there's a lot of humor in this movie. There's a lot of jokes. I don't know why, but for like I said, because the second time around, I didn't even remember that the movie ended in Tibet. I thought when he was in Tibet and he was filming at the end and he did like the yell, I thought there was gonna be like an avalanche
Same.
or something. I was like, okay, here comes the avalanche. I thought avalanche, cut the credits. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't either.
Sam, you thought that too.
You
so.
silly goose.
It wasn't the avalanche. I just thought someone was gonna fly in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when he
The
when he
girl, I
set
got
the
powers too.
when he set the camera and I knew he was in Tibet, I knew this was how they wanted to end the movie.
Yeah.
Anything, if they had done anything to that ending, it would have effed up the movie
I agree.
completely. It needed to have that kind of sweet ending.
Intimate.
Yeah.
I think it's a very sweet ending,
Mm-hmm.
which it gives it complete closure, makes you feel okay about everything.
Yeah, I think that's the right phrase too. It makes you feel okay about it because it's not like a happy ending, but you're like strangely at peace
Closure,
with it.
yeah.
Because he still like I said, after all that happened with like him and Andrew, it's like you said at the end of the day, it's like he still loves him, like cousin.
Yeah, he didn't want to do what he
Yeah.
did, but he also knew he didn't. You know,
Yeah.
After the movie, I looked up the box office. Saw it made like 125 million. My first thought was, why really no sequel? Because they love making sequels to these movies.
Well, I
They
think
just love to can't leave well enough alone.
Yeah.
and have to keep going.
I just think with everything involved after, like I think they probably shopped around a sequel, but
They did. They actually had a few scripts. They had one by Max Landis, but apparently the studio thought it was too dark and they didn't want to go with it.
There you go. Well, you wouldn't want to go dark from here.
But
no. And then there is
You also wouldn't want to go campy from here, or
no.
more action.
So I don't know how true this is, but there is rumor, or at least in 2021 there was a female-led sequel announced, set 10 years later, that would deal with topics like fake news and cover-ups. But I don't know how likely or true that is.
That actually
Just
sounds like
given-
fake news.
Just given the fact that it was 2021 and there's been no kind of, I think that was before the merger too, right? With Disney.
I think that was like it was right
Yeah,
before.
21?
Yeah.
But I think it could have
Yeah.
just
So
been.
hopefully
No,
it's
it's
dead.
before.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Before. That's
Oh.
what I meant. Sorry.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, hopefully it's dead because
But there's
that would be
always,
stupid.
Yeah.
rumors like this always happen where it's like someone like will ask at a Q&A or just they'll be like, someone will be like, I think I heard something about this, and it connected, and everyone's like, see, there was talks. It is happening. It's like no, someone just. It was all hearsay, but I think the reason why we never kind of really got one either was, and like I said, I think the legacy of a lot of people involved in this movie. A couple years after, kind of just made this movie forgotten. All the negatives, like the Max Landis and the whole. I'm gonna just straight up say I don't know everyone's story. I don't know what happened, but there was the whole Josh Trank was very much in demand after this movie.
Yeah.
And he went on to direct Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan. And after the disaster of that movie, and I know there was tons of on-set drama, offset drama. Like I said, I don't know. Everyone has different stories of what happened.
It was a mess. He was also attached to a Star Wars spin-off movie, and because of what happened with Fantastic Four, they removed him from that, and he basically went into director jail for quite a long time.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything. And I think so now you have the director, the whole Max Landis, and even then they tried to, Dane Dehaan went on, they kept trying to like make him a thing. Like I know he went on and he was Green Goblin.
Yeah, and Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then I know he was in Valerian, which was supposed to be, and like I said, that movie
he had a bit of a flop.
Yeah, that's what I just feel like he was in, and you know how it is now. It's always
but he's such a good actor. I was hoping.
Yeah, but you know, everyone.
There's still time.
Who are we talking about?
Dane Dehaan, Andrew. Like I said, they kept trying to make it, but I just think it's like, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's just the business now with Hollywood, where it's like, hey, like it's good, but like the movies he was in. I mean, like I said, he acts fine, but, you know, they just didn't perform.
He could have been Barry Keoghan before Barry Keoghan.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you would have probably done a little more, you know, indie things. And
Barry Keoghan.
But, you know, like Frank said, it's not too late. Like,
yeah, it's not too late.
He's still probably pretty young. So I'm going to say this, and I'm actually saying it because I want to hear your thoughts and maybe can not support, but maybe challenge me. Not wild about the title. I think it's a little generic.
Yeah.
Doesn't really spring anything in my head. And
after
watching the movie, I don't go, oh, yeah, I get why it's called Chronicle. Oh.
What would you have... Chronicle. What would you have named it?
Whatever.
Like,
That did not make it better. Okay?
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's just because me thinking... That's the thing, too.
Out of retirement?
Shut the fuck up.
How about that title?
How about...
I'm just saying it felt a bit... it's just a very generic title.
I get it. I mean,
I think it probably had more...
What is it? I don't tell you what it is.
It's chronicling their life.
It could be anything.
I think it happened to me.
Newspaper writers.
It happened to me where after I was like, oh, I get it, because it's chronicling his...
That's on the journey.
Yeah, no. I do get it. I'm just saying it doesn't draw me into...
Do you think there was a stronger title that they could have used?
I don't know. I mean...
I don't know
because I think it's a little generic. Mm-hmm. I don't have an answer to what the title should be. I just felt... I don't think it's a bad title. I don't think it's very interesting.
I will say this, even though when you I agree, when you say the title, like, out loud, like, oh, the movie's called Chronicle, but I think it sounds a little generic, but I think on, like, the posters, seeing it, like, on a poster or, like, the movie covers, I think it looks cool. Like, when you see it visually instead of audibly.
Well, that's probably true.
Like, yeah, like, have you seen what the cover of the movie looks like?
Yeah, I saw the poster.
I think it looks cool. If I saw that, it'd be like, oh, I want to see that. But if I were to straight up, tell you,
but that has nothing to do with the title. That has to do with the poster itself looking cool.
I'm just saying I think it works when, like, you write, like, seeing the name written out, I think works.
There you go.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think of what else they could have used as a girl.
Not the girl. Girl.
Like, what could you use for
Predator.
Apex.
Apex
Was a movie, wasn't it?
Was it?
Like, I think it was one of those YA young adult.
Wasn't it a videotape company? Or an audio tape company, Apex?
I don't know.
It was a band, no?
I think it was when I was a kid.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't bring it up, so I had to come up with the answer what it should have been. I'm just saying I didn't find it like when you guys told me we were watching Chronicle, my reaction was, oh, okay.
Narnia?
The Chronic. What
is that?
Of Narnia.
Like, what is that
the
title?
Chronic of Superhero.
Were you guys curious?
Yeah, of Narnia.
When I was
there's
young,
a couple of Chronicle.
Chronic. You thought it was about drugs.
There you go.
Were you guys curious or actually furious that they'd never really explained how they got the power or where it came from?
I don't think I need to know.
I was curious because, as you know, lore, but I wasn't bothered by it just because I was really interested in where they were going to go with the story itself.
I agree.
I think because like we've discussed, the movie Hour 24 moves very fast. I think if they maybe had focused on other parts, maybe like just the characters not doing anything.
What was the question? I'm looking up Apex audio tape.
Superpowers. Do you think
If you were curious or furious that they
No,
never really explained it.
I feel like if maybe like the movie, instead of it being like an hour and 24 minutes, was like 2 hours or 2:05 or 2:10. But I feel like because it just moves so quickly and like we talked about the time jumps, I'm forgiving. I'm like, you know what? I really don't need to know. They fell in a hole, saw some glowy things, got powers. I'm fine with that. Cool. Let's
But
go.
you had problems with how the effects looked.
I didn't have problems. I was just saying it stuck out. I thought it was funny.
Oh, did you want an explanation for what was in the hole?
No, I think I was okay because, like they both said, it moved fast.
That
But then
might
there
have
were
made it-
also things happening that I wasn't really too focused on. Okay, but why did you get these powers?
Yeah,
And
you
why
were
did it came
curious
from?
about the whole.
I was okay with
Maybe
it.
the glowy part.
Yeah.
I was okay with it because I thought it was pretty cool when they were
Yeah.
down there. I was also okay with it because I felt like if we go into a lot of deep explanation here, then it's just going to raise more questions. It's going to
Yeah.
be more
Yeah.
distracting. At 15 minutes of this movie, it's not going to make it any better
Or
because you're not going to be satisfied.
or it
You're
might
just going
be
to go, okay. Or it's going to be so generic. Oh,
Yeah.
an alien spaceship crashed down here. Or, oh, dumpage. The military dumped something down here. You know, it's like,
I would.
oh, wait a minute. That's our
Yeah, I was
movie.
gonna say.
or I would, I'd rather just have that wonder than, like I said, than knowing what it is and not liking the reasoning.
I
Yeah.
will say this, though. When they went back to the hole and then up above you saw the Rangers show up, I would have much preferred guys in dark suits and sunglasses
Like
going,
E.T.?
okay, get
Oh.
out of here.
Or hazmat suits.
That would have
Yeah.
been so much better
Mm.
than cops. Cops aren't going to be in on this. It's going to be the
You
freaking...
kids,
get out
it's
of
gonna be,
here.
It's going to be government people.
Yeah.
Or just soldiers. If soldiers have showed up, say, okay, you're good. You need to get out of here. I was very disappointed that guys in park ranger
It was
costumes.
just a park ranger.
That's a little pedantic.
It's a little
What?
shallow.
I'm just kidding.
Don't you agree, though?
Yeah, but
I
this-
think it works because, like
they
I
didn't
said,
have
I
the
think
budget
it's,
for
It
that.
doesn't work.
I'm saying, like I said,
You're
I don't
wrong,
think
it
they had
doesn't
the
work.
budget. They're like, hey, let's just
For
get this cop.
guys in dark suits
Yeah,
and
that's
sunglasses,
too expensive.
You and I could have done that.
But then it raises too many questions. Who are they? Why aren't they following them? Where are they later?
That
Oh,
is true. I feel like
It raises too many
like
questions.
if it was
You raised too many questions.
if it was an obvious authority figure like a ranger or a cop, they would be more curious about it. I think.
and they'd be following like I just like I said, I feel like the cop might even know what it was. He could have been by and heard stories, so he's just there patrolling and seeing what it is and saying,
they
"Oh,
were
we got
there telling them to get out of there because they were.
Because the ground wasn't
Sunken
stable,
in.
is what they said.
Yeah, but no, they were aware of what was going on.
I'm sure they were, to a
So-
certain extent.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything.
Perhaps
And you know
they
what?
were doing
And
it on
them
orders.
being cops and not being suits doesn't change anything for me.
No,
Wow,
I know what you're saying, but I just think it.
sass mouth
I think
over
that's
there.
what they were doing. I just would have made a
Okay.
different choice.
Yeah,
I was like, okay,
This is
great.
Just
This
have
is-
like have like Humvees
Yeah,
and
this is G
tanks
for
just come
yeah.
charging down.
Josh Tranks.
Get
Josh
out
Trank.
of here.
This
Josh
is
Tanks.
this is G.
Helicopters come
This is
shooting
G.
down.
We can't do helicopters. This is G14 classified. You got to.
Oh God. But oh Jesus, that was loud.
I know.
But
Oh, that was even louder.
Okay, Dan.
But-
So what
Yeah.
did you think of this movie?
are we ready to go into?
Yeah, I
The
think
whole-
final thoughts for sure.
Oh, before I found the. So this was during the Jungle Cruise premiere, because the producer of Jungle Cruise also produced Chronicle. So
Oh
what
my
was
gosh.
said was
I'm surprised
Chronicle.
after Jungle
Superpower
Cruise.
Cruise. That's the name of the movie.
That
Powers
Jungle
Cruise.
I got a Jungle Cruise movie story.
Jungle Snooze.
I definitely. Oh,
So I've
man.
never seen it.
Me
but,
neither.
So
and you never need to.
the quote was, "Chronicle was literally the best return on investment any of my movies ever made. We did it for $12 million and it grossed $126.64 million worldwide, which is great. Then it had a huge afterlife in syndication. It's one of the most financially successful movies in my stable. We're working on Chronicle 2 right now, and I think it's going to be great. We're working on it at Fox. It's going to give us a chance to tell the story in a different way. We're going to tell it from the female point of view." By the way, when you say that line, like that sentence, it makes me think like it's not like a genuine. Like,
no, it
who
sounds.
says we're going to tell it from the female point of view? It sounds very like
You know what,
Objective.
Frank? Frank.
yeah, I don't know. It sounds very much like we got to check this box off. You know what I mean?
To
I
be
don't know.
politically correct.
You know what it sounds
Yeah.
like to me, Frank? It sounds like it's
No
him.
comment.
No, it sounds like it's him trying to like he's now pitching the movie to get interest from people.
Well, look. So
Well,
I mean, there's
good
more.
luck. I'd never heard of it.
Oh, there's more.
It will have been 10 years since the event happened in Seattle, and a lot of it's going to deal with fake news and real news and cover-ups. More interestingly, it's the next generation getting these powers that are corruptive. These are young women just finishing college. They are empowered, and this is their journey. I
can't wait.
This last line is like my favorite, though. I mean, what a new and interesting story you can tell there. Yep.
Sam?
I think I'm on the
Would you like
side
to
of
chime in
Josh
on
Trank.
Bullshit.
I hope
Thank
they
you.
never make this.
No, they don't need it. The story's done.
Yeah,
I
no.
hope they do, and I
I
hope it
know.
costs them $100 million, and they make
No.
$1 million in the box office, and it destroys this guy's entire career. Did I say all that out loud?
Say it louder.
Dang, I gotta work hard on this.
His story's just done. We don't need it.
Yeah, I think there's a time to stop and a
I
time
think it's
to down.
interesting, and I agree with you. But I agree that almost 80% of all the movies we've seen did not need a sequel.
No.
No.
So this is no different.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's him trying to, like, now get
No,
interest.
you know what I'm saying, though? It's like almost
Yeah.
all these really good
Yeah.
movies, they don't need another movie. They're never better. You're always just living off the previous movie.
I think one of the big reasons why we feel that way is because they haven't made it yet. So we're still like, we don't know what that sequel will look like, and it'll probably suck. But
Well,
right
it's
now
not
we're in
gonna-
a good spot.
I feel
so
like it's not gonna
let's
happen.
just leave it.
I feel like
you
it's
know?
not going to happen.
Or
Yeah.
it's just
This
going to...
feels very like I'm trying to push all the right buttons and say all the
Yeah.
right
Right?
things.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It ain't touching
It
me.
felt like a pitch.
Yeah, it does totally.
You know what it felt like? It felt like what's his name? Batman, American Psycho.
Yeah.
It's like he was in the beginning when it's like, I think we should talk about Christian Bale at the beginning of American Psycho.
Yeah.
Where they're at the dinner party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to think for a
What do you
second.
think about it, female?
Bitch. I already said it. Bullshit.
Yeah.
All right.
Same. Final thoughts?
Yeah, let's
Bullshit.
start.
All right. See you next week.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Travis.
Do
it.
Okay. I
Thank you. That was great. Sam?
no.
Sorry.
I kind of started this a little bit. I was talking with Dan. I feel like this found footage works because it's not. There's a lot to it. It's not like just trying to be like cash in on like, oh, that Cloverfield movie was cool. Oh, this like Blair Witch movie. Let's do another scary movie like Paranormal Activity. Didn't feel like it was cashing off like a trend. Because I feel like in this found footage movie, you get some humor in there. You also get a little bit of dark humor. It's heartfelt. You get all the emotions in there. I think probably my least favorite part of the movie was probably Steve's death. I think kind of, like I said, I did like the ending overall, but I think kind of from that point and on was sort of my least favorite parts of the movie. But overall, I did like it.
5 out of 5.
No.
That's interesting.
I feel like I did like it a little bit. I don't know why. Like, I feel like when I watched it the first time, for some reason, I think it was just the case of I really wanted to see this movie a lot, and then I finally saw. I think it was just overhyped way too much. But I did like it the second time. I'm glad we did get to cover it on this podcast. It was fun talking about it. You guys are all great.
Wow, you checking out? You jumping in your car and driving home? What's going on?
Travis.
You dropping the mic? What's going on? Are you leaving the group? What's happening?
I'm now
Your
announcing
retirement?
it's the end of my Chronicle.
All right.
What?
Well, hang on. Thank you, Travis. Good having you around.
Send off. I
Yay.
need my send off music. No, it's
Oh, there's more.
It's so nice to have this time together.
my Lifetime Achievement Award. No, I think it's a solid movie.
Why do you think it's a solid movie?
Okay,
I don't need to say that. I'm just
Can you just score it so we can move on?
yeah. So I'll give this movie
5 out of 5.
no. I can give it
5.
no. I'm gonna give it like a
5.
I'm gonna give it like a 4.
Ooh.
Bloody tissues.
Oh, okay.
Good choice.
Oh, I also
Oh.
liked. Yeah.
I was gonna say too. I was
Go
sorry.
ahead.
You
Go
like
ahead.
the bloody tissues
I-
too?
Yeah, the bloody tissues. Cool.
Love.
So I was
I don't
eating.
even want to go there.
I was eating hot Cheetos today, and I was at my desk, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta clean off my hands." So I got a bunch of tissues, and I went like this, and I was cleaning my hands, and it looked like I was holding a bunch of bloody tissues because of the red. And I don't know why I'm telling that story. That's how exciting my
what did it look like, Travis? What did it remind you of?
That's how exciting my life is. No,
that was a patented.
But
Travis
that's not the same look.
Non sequitur.
It's got to be more gooey.
That's how exciting my life is outside of this podcast.
That's
Shining
exactly
hole
not what
has
I
to
was
be
going
more
to say.
gooey. Huh?
I was going to say I liked how they all are connected.
No, that was cool. That's the Chronicle. I don't know.
Of Narnia.
Would you rather have this movie Dan, would you rather have had this movie been called, instead of Chronicle, Connected?
Connected.
I kind of like that title.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I
That
do.
sounds
No, you don't.
That sounds like a Blumhouse movie.
Connected.
I feel like if this movie was made in this day and age, it would be made by Blumhouse.
That's all the
and it
sequels.
would be an Amazon series.
Disconnected, reconnected.
Oh, wouldn't that actually be like Sense8 or something?
Connected.
All right, Sam, go on.
Yeah, Sam. Tell us your fetal
I think you should go, Sam.
Coming in 10 years. You kind
That's a long time.
of touched base on that, where I'm used to like horror themed found footage, so seeing this, I didn't know where it was gonna go. I do appreciate like this new take on something that's been told like a million times over, kind of like a villain origin story, but through found footage, through like how teens will perceive it. So I enjoyed that. Again, just overlooking the CGI. If I did pay attention to that, I would have given it such like a lower score. But I enjoyed how they presented it and everything like that. So overall, I'm gonna give it 3 spears out of 5.
Oh. Oh my god.
Good choice.
Oh my god.
Nice.
All right.
So, because you don't like sci-fi movies, right?
Heck
So
no.
this, would you call this an exception?
Yeah, because it didn't really have much
Hard
Sci-fi?
sci-fi?
It had a lot of thriller in it, too.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
not-
what
Yeah.
made up for it for me.
Yeah, I found it less sci-fi. Although I agree, it is sci-fi for sure.
Yeah. Your mom's sci-fi. Just kidding.
You always. Why
Why
do
are
you
you picking
always?
up my mom
no,
all the
why do you?
time?
I feel like at the ending of almost every
That's
episode. Yeah, Dan, it's always at the ending of the
picking on my
episode.
dead mom.
At the end of the episode, you're always.
Your mom.
It's just the
Yeah, your mom
the
likes
most,
sci-fi.
Like, I just love it. It's the most immature like insult ever.
Us? Immature?
Your mom.
Dan.
Yeah, that's what your mom did. I did your mom.
It's like in bed, you know, like adding in bed to the end of everything.
Title of
Chronicle
your,
in bed.
In bed.
Title,
You know-
title of your sex tape.
you know
That's
that-
what
in
she
bed.
said.
You know that Bryan Cranston story, right? Where he's like
Cranston.
taking New Mexico. No, it was in New Mexico, right?
Yes.
During
Breaking Bad.
right, you know the story, right? And
No.
They're all asking questions. All these sort of like Breaking Bad sort of nerds are all there, and they're all. And I guess this one kid asked some question, and what was the greatest part about like making Breaking Bad in Albuquerque? He goes, doing your mom. It's like, I've actually heard that recording. It's like
That's hilarious.
so freaking funny. Anyway,
I'm gonna go next because you're gonna go last.
He was going. Oh no, you
No.
were going, Frank.
What are we laughing at?
I don't know.
They're always going and coming and
Frank.
coming.
Oh, no,
and
Frank.
All right, so I like this movie.
And if you don't like this movie,
If you don't
That's
like this
okay.
movie, I think it's rare for me to watch a movie with lore involved that I find interesting and not want to know more. But this is one of the few movies where I'm like, no, I'm actually okay with it staying where it's staying and keeping the mystery element alive for years to come. I really wish that upon seeing this, I really wish that Trank's career hadn't tanked as much as it did.
Trank more like Tank.
But luckily, he's a white male, so like he'll
He'll bounce back.
He'll bounce back. It's just gonna take a little longer than usual. But I think as a director, I really like a lot of the choices that he made, and banning Max Landis from the set was like one of the strongest ones. I guess that's one of the other reasons why I really enjoy the movie is because it's like one of the few examples of like his work that I can enjoy. I really would have loved to have seen the Star Wars movie he wanted to make, but the casting is great. I like the like extreme focus on just the three characters. Like you get little sides of everybody else, but the main focus is where it needs to be, and that's why the movie can do so much and still be like an hour and a half, which I think is good. The special effects you do have to like kind of, forgive. And
For sure.
you know what's weird is that the flying itself looks kind of fake.
But it works.
But like no, I think the weird thing is that for me the guys themselves can look kind of fake, but I've seen behind the scenes videos and they did it all practically. At least
They actually
the actual
flew?
No, like they were on like motion rigs and so like it's weird for me because it usually you can pick out like a bad green screen apart from the actors, but in this case they're both kind of like wonky. So like I don't know, but I guess maybe it stood out less when they did it that way versus
Gotcha.
I don't know. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen one more like bit of Andrew like being weird, like towards the
Same.
end, like in that third
Same.
act.
Yeah.
Like, I think there needed to be one more bit of it. That's just personal preference, though.
I agree.
Like I think as a whole, as it is, it's fine. So. And also there's one thing that I really did not like at the beginning, and I know it's something that they did a lot back then just because the whole found footage thing is there's a scene where Andrew's like, we got to document this. It's like, no, please stop. Don't say,
Everyone's going to want to see this.
We know. We don't need it to be like, we're not stupid. But other than that, great. So
Do you need
I'm
to
going to give
chronicle
it 4 flying teddy bears out of 5.
Oh, I like that. Get over.
Stay in school.
What?
Frank.
At the toy store.
With a little girl, this good. So Frank, what you're saying is you would want to see his Star Chronicle film?
Dan, go ahead.
Get it? Yes, I would. Dan.
I don't want to repeat what everybody else has already said because
Anyways, next
pretty
week.
much. Thank you. And thank you. Because I pretty much agree with everything.
Have your own opinion, man.
I thought this movie was, for being an hour and a half, just rounding it up, I think I saw hour 37. You guys saw it hour 24. It was really packed. I mean, sometimes an hour and a half feels like it's 3 hours. And sometimes, 2 hours feels like an hour and a half, whatever. But this movie was very full. I thought it was really well done in terms of storytelling and how the journey from the beginning through the end. I agree with all the little the discussing, we need to chronicle this whole thing, or, and yes, the special effects stood out as not being top notch, but I accepted. I went along with it. I honestly, I don't know why. The beginning of this podcast, I said, I can tell within the first 5 minutes. In the first 5 minutes of the movie, I said, oh yeah, I think this is going to be really good.
And then it wasn't.
And I was not let down. There were moments in the movie where I realized I don't think I blinked for 2 minutes. I was really glued to this movie. I can't 100% tell you why, but this movie worked for me. The story, the characters, the relationships, everything.
Can you
So
chronicle?
I forgave almost.
Travis,
I forgave almost every flaw that movie had. I just said, I don't care. I'm really into this. So, without repeating what everybody else said, I'm giving it 4 out of 5.
What?
Wow.
Why did you go down that radioactive hole? Because it's just like all those movies. Well, you don't have a movie if you don't. But they seem so eager and anxious to go down
They
that
jumped
hole.
in.
And
They leapt in.
another
Yeah.
another little thing too. I see why they did it because they had to get Andrew in the hospital. But when it cut from him beating up the neighborhood bullies to steal their money, I thought logically if I have these powers, I'll just go to an ATM machine or a bank. I'm but it's going to a gas station and just straight up robberies. I was I don't know. You're overcomplicating it. You're making it harder than it
It
needs to
seems
be.
like there are other ways you could have gone to
Yes.
a bank and unlocked the safe
Yeah,
with
that's
your
what I was
powers and make
thinking.
money just float into
Take
your
a money
bag and all
truck,
that.
a money truck.
That's too easy.
But then he wouldn't have blown up and ended
That's
up
what
in
I'm
the
saying. He
hospital.
had to be in the hospital.
Wait, Frank, what did you give it? I forgot.
Plus, he
4 out
wasn't
of
really
5.
thinking things through that
No,
well.
because like I said, he thinks with these
Yeah, I'm
emotions.
the
also
only
a
one.
teenager.
And
Yeah.
4 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
That's okay. It's all right. I really thought of 3.5, but I was like, no, I really For what it was, I got a bang of 4 out of my 5 here. I banged 4.
Wow. Okay.
Bangers?
All right.
It's a
So what you're saying
sausage.
is that you jumped into that radioactive hole too, without protection.
I sure did.
Wow.
Please.
Can you chronicle
Please
it?
make
Can you
this
chronicle
stop,
it for
God.
us?
Are you there, God? It's
What did
me,
you say,
Sam.
Travis?
I said, can you
Still
chronicle
not
it
loving
for
the
us?
title, but that's okay.
All right. So what are we doing next week?
Oh yeah. Do we stop using the skull, huh?
We're doing Black Swan.
Yeah, what
Oh.
happened to the skull? Where we got to pick?
Because we picked all the movies ahead of time.
Yeah, we picked them ahead of time because it's just easier to plan ahead.
Can we pretend like we're going to pick out the skull?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it say, Sam?
Black Swan.
I literally set it up like that. I said, "What are we covering next week?" Even though we all have the list, then you.
Okay, you're the one that spent 2 seasons without
Yeah,
prepping
you know
the
what,
video
Travis?
description.
I
So
still
shush.
don't. Sam, joke's on you because I still don't.
That's why.
I know. All right.
I almost made it out alive of not wanting to kill him.
Yep.
Almost.
Almost.
But
Well,
then
Well, Sam, you get a couple weeks break because Dan is going to Spain.
It's
Well, he will be
España.
back by the
Spain,
time.
I love
He will
to
be
go
back
to
by the time this
Spain.
episode airs.
Well, he'll be back next week because next week we're covering Black Swan.
I'll fly back just for the podcast.
No, he'll do it on the plane.
You know what? What are you
Ew.
doing?
I'll already be in Spain on Tuesday.
is
How long's the
happening?
flight?
I don't know. We're flying to New York, and then we have
Anyway.
a 2-hour layover, and then we're flying to Barcelona.
New York.
All right,
So,
see y'all.
It's going to be a long one.
Watch, follow, review, do stuff. Anyway,
Repost.
goodbye.
Talk about us.
Enjoy it. My name is Dan.
My name is Travis.
My name is Sam.
I'm España.
It's Frank, and we are
Out.
He's talking about your testicles.
Testes.
Testy. 1, 2, 3.
I was gonna do that. Testy. 1, 2, 3.
They're all there.